Top of the afternoon, campers. I'm John Nelson, the plugin CEO of JKO Works and pluginbusiness.com. And it's the site's up, by the way, though we're still putting finishing touches on it, but it's looking good. Okay, so there's a lot of things happening today. The birds are outside chirping. I can hear them carrying on. The hurricanes are blowing, though Houston gets bypassed on this one. Though you folks in Louisiana, from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, be careful. Take it easy. But I know you're used to this, but still, one coming their way. So there's all that going on. The equipment is functioning. Everybody's out prospecting. The Pistons are they're working too. Okay, so we're ready to go. So let's get into trouble with this, shall we? And talk about reasons to have or not have a website, or reasons to have or not have a funnel, a landing page funnel. Now, what we're going to call a funnel is it's a landing, starts with a landing page, but then gets into, 2 or 3 more pages as well. So all of that is, part of the same process here. So I just wanted to kind of be clear on that. And I'm trying to figure out, there's technical issues. So I said the equipment was working. I lied. Okay. So let's just do this. All right. So why you should not create a website to do a funnels job. Now that's kind of a weird explanation, I think, but I think you'll see the point in this. And what really started this is I get questions all the time. Digital marketers get questions all the time. Website developers get, of course, if you're a hammer, everything kind of looks like a nail. If you build websites for a living, you're going to look for ways to build websites, right? But we get all these questions all the time from small businesses of all sizes, people that are trying to get something started up out of their house. Maybe it's a product or service that they've developed and always wanted to sell, or nonprofit organizations who are trying to spread the word about what they do. We get this all the time. I need a website, right? I need to do a website. And they stress themselves out over building a website. I mean, really stress themselves out over building a website. I'm here to tell you that may not be necessary. And we're going to go through all the reasons. And of course, digital marketing colleagues are going, hey, stop this. We need a website. We need to sell websites. Yeah, well, there's a time and a place for websites. And if you're approaching this with the right frame of mind, you still get a website out of it, just not as big and grandiose a one that a client doesn't need, that ends up being a money trap. Maybe it's something that can serve a better purpose the smaller it is. But we'll talk about that. Let's explore, because there are reasons for all this stuff. So what we're going to talk about today is reasons to, what's in a website. What makes a website really an option that you should consider having. By the same token, we'll flip that and say, well, what is the landing page funnel? What's in it? Why should you have it? And then in the end, we'll give you some things to think about. And not only will we give you things to think about, but hopefully some best practices. If you're looking at putting out a website to sell what it is that you're, the product or service or campaign or something that you offer. And what's the right size to do that will get the best result? Because we all really, truly want sales, no matter how we do it. Even nonprofit organizations want their own version of sales. They want recognition for what it is that they're talking about. They want donations. They want to raise awareness. They want to, all those things of whatever constitutes a quote unquote sale for you, is what we're talking about here. So let's jump in and kind of decide what is a website, okay? So in what respect would a website be ideal, okay? So if you have multiple products, services, or campaigns, multiple products and services to offer. If you're, a big, like an e-commerce store, if you have several different, products that meet customers on different levels, then a website may be the most ideal thing for you. Okay, because that's it's tough to divide that up. But if you can, maybe you should. But if you have multiple products and services, maybe you should consider a website, right? If you have a blog, maybe if that is your product or service, is a blog, or videos or articles or multiple resources. We'll get into some more resources in just a minute. But if you do that kind of thing, content marketing, sort of content selling, this maybe that is your product or what you offer. Are those contributions? Then maybe a website would be an ideal place to have that. Okay. If you want to have an about page and a contact page, and you've got a lot to share on those, maybe there's multiple ways to do contact that you want to be contacted, depending on what the situation is, or you've got a major story to tell about your organization, your business, and that's a part of what you do. Then then that fits well. And most websites have an about page or contact page or some sort of information that educates them who they are. Do you have a more customer resources and support? Do you have a support system in place? Do you need to have a support system in place? And online is the only place to go get it, to find those resources. Then a website may be ideal for you. And then finally, do you have multiple options and ways to buy? Multiple directions that a customer could go. Depending on maybe it's different service levels. Maybe if it's something new versus something refurbished. Maybe it's like I said, just multiple products. There's just multiple different ways they could go, depending on how much they buy or what they're buying or what the product or service is. Maybe that's a great way to send them in that direction. So these are some compelling reasons why a website would be a good fit for you. If you have all these things, if you truly want to have all these things, or mostly need to have all these things, as I think you'll see in a minute, versus the concept of a funnel. So all the digital marketers know what a funnel is, and a landing page funnel at that. So the landing page is the very top end of that whole process, as I said before. And then it narrows down. They fill in more information about you, and they receive your offer, and we keep getting further and further along. Finally, we get to the decision point of what they want you to do at the bottom of the funnel. Book an appointment, buy something, sign up for a live event, sign up for a connect with a course, order something. I know those are all kind of similar, but it's the same idea. You're getting them down to that one point with a pretty much a unified message. So where would this be ideal? So it would be, we're talking about a single product, a single offer, a single something or other. There's really no deviation from this. You're there to offer one thing and one thing only that you want the customer to do. It's the single journey as you work your way along. Having blogs and other content information and all that is not that important to you. It's not really necessary. You just want to take them on a very specific journey. And even if you have multiple products, you could do the same thing, as we'll see in just a little bit. But the sales process in all of this is exactly the same. It is, even though the product or service may vary a little bit, the process that they go through to buy it or to get connected to you or to get going is all the same. That's what a funnel does well. There's not a lot of fluff to it. It is one single compelling offer. It is one single point of the messaging that you want them to get in the order you want them to get it. There doesn't have to be any deviation. You spend your whole time on those pages. They're not any more than 3 pages long, typically. They're very few. There are exceptions, but usually a good funnel is about 3 pages long. You have certainly the front page, and maybe you have a secondary page of information, and then you want them to take action. You want them to buy or to book an appointment or to sign up or to do whatever. So that doesn't take any more. And then maybe the third page is a thank you page. You might throw an additional info page in there if there's multiple stages. Say you're going to buy something. So you pay for it on one page, and the next page you actually sign up for a time and or sign up for an appointment to get onboarded and all that. So that may be 4 pages if you count the thank you page. But in general, this is very very set process, and funnels are ideal for that. Um, so these are things that, I mean, the more I've thought about this, I mean, because in the beginning I had to have a website too. Everybody I know had to have websites. I talk to people, particularly in the trades. They are somehow so conditioned that I need this big grandiose website. But there's if you unless you have the well, let's just get into the things to think about, because I'm getting ahead of myself. Because sometimes it's not, sometimes you just don't need that much. If you don't have that much information, that's just more you've got to come up with. Whereas a funnel like this can serve a very specific purpose. And for some people, it's all the website they need. They need that's all the online presence they need to have. So let's get some things to think about here, shall we? Okay, so multiple product services or campaigns. If you have that, then, as we're saying before, you should consider a website, or you can consider, if it's appropriate, if the sales process for each one is different, then what you can consider is having multiple funnel pages, maybe that or multiple funnel sites off the same domain. But I mean, if you have multiple things, your options are limited. You really do need that, and then you really need to try your best to build it out where there's as much product description, there's as much buyer journey, and there's as many actions as you need them to take, and you need to, as much information as you feel is appropriate that you need to give them needs to be in that space. So if you have those multiple things, then you can run into problems with that. All right. Do you want to have a blog? Do you want to have videos? Do you want to have resources? Do you want to have all these things? Do you really, truly, are they so much a part of what you do that you could do without them? Now, I know some of you folks could do without some of ours, but I hope some others have found them helpful. But in truth, we don't have to have them on our website. We really don't. We just link to the YouTube channels mostly, as far as our website goes. That's not to say that we don't have video on Plug-in Business. You're going to see eventually that there are videos about everything, because that's the way you make a decision on something. There is more information about each service that you connect with, so those decisions can be made. So it is appropriate sometimes, even in a smaller setting, that you have these resources. But most of the time, particularly if you just don't have that much information, if you're in the trades, if you're in if you're a chiropractic or in the wellness types of practices, I mean, what you offer is pretty much what you offer, and there's a set process that goes with it, and that's something that a smaller setup could do. And then you can take all the blogs and the video posts and the articles and save them for when these people become clients. That's important to stress here, is we're talking about beforehand. We're talking about prospects. We're talking about the sales cycle. If they say yes, you should educate them all you can on why you're different and who you are and what you do. But in the meantime, consider not going as deep and all that with the blogs. But if you have to have it, you have to have it. Do you have specific or you have specific or multiple buying options? This is not only payment options. This is, I'm going to do this. It's kind of harder to I'm going to come up with something here, but like if you have a product or service, it's one thing to have monthly pricing versus annual pricing, say. But if you have, okay, if we consider a house, I mean, there's only so much you need to put on 2 or 3 pages of a house. You need the information about it, and then you have maybe the next page has a gallery of pictures about it. and some general information. This is the information. So you need them to, you're going to get them to that next step, but you don't need to, if you have multiple financing options, if you have multiple, purchase or rent or whatever options, if you have different ways of configuring this, um, then that's probably something a website would do better for than say a funnel would, or when I say a funnel, I'm going to mean the entire landing page as a whole. But that's probably something that would do better on a little bit larger scale if you have multiple buying options for something or lots of configurations. Okay. Um, and then I'm going to back up for this, and you saw a glimpse of it for a second, but I want to stress something. If you go to the trouble of creating this ginormous website and you don't have these other things, you need to know something. And it's cruel, and it sounds cruel, but if you think about it, it makes sense. No one's going to read all that stuff. I don't care how good it is. I don't care how well it's put together. And now let me explain. Most visitors to websites rarely go past the first page. So if you have 100% of people visit a website, they'll typically give you what they call one hop. They'll give you one link that they will click through to go do something, whether that's ordering, whether that's whatever. Probably 75% of the people, 60 to 75% of the people, according to analytics, will go to that next step. Okay, that's what you want. That's booking an appointment. That is setting a time. That is buying, purchasing something. That is clicking on an item that looks interesting and going to its page, and then making a buying decision. Or making a sign up decision. Maybe that's a sign up in the first place. You get that, but you don't get much further. They're not, for all your resources and all your giant opportunities and all your different varied products and services on your website. Or if you don't offer that many but you insist on having a huge website, all your fluff that's added to it, I'm sorry, but it's true, then nobody's going to read it. And you're going to spend that money, that time, that effort for something that nobody looks at. They're there at your site for one reason only, and that is to weigh the options of buying your product, service, or signing up for your whatever it is that you have, or donating to your nonprofit organization, or taking part. Those are the one reasons that they're there. Okay, if you offer multiple product options, fine, but that's still a part of the same buying process. That's the reason they're there. They're not really there for the other things. And so you can sort of peel those layers back and meet them on other. Say, if you have a bunch of videos, go do a YouTube channel. It's next to nothing to do. And just to have the channel out there and to make it work, to get it attention. Put it on your Facebook page, put it on your Google business profile. Those things you should have set up anyway. So let's talk about that. But nobody's going to read all of the stuff that you have unless they have a compelling reason to do so, which most of the time is not the case. They're there to weigh the options of saying yes to you, and then what happens immediately. What happens after that? Save the rest of it for after they say yes, and you've got them on board. You're not trying to convince them, you're trying to educate them at that point. Or you try to educate them long before they get to your page to make a buying decision. Okay, so let's get into some best practices here, and I think this will make a little bit more sense and try to bring this home at least just a little bit anyway. Okay, so use multiple marketing locations. Okay, multiple matching locations. It's all for marketing, right? So what I mean by that is Facebook page, because they're free. Google business profile, if you can. Not every business organization can, but if you can, try to make it work, because that's your entry into Google's system for free. And then some sort of online presence. What the size is of that online presence will be appropriate for your situation. But I would argue for more minimal than maximal there. try to make it smaller, not larger. Okay. But you should have all three of those, and the content should match. Okay. So if you do have videos that are relevant to what you do, put them on every place you have, but don't flood it. Just have one or two that really explain what what it is that you're offering and what it is that you want your prospect to do. Okay. All right. So keep it to 3 pages or less. 3 pages is probably good. Um, excuse me. Obviously, on Google Business Profile and Facebook, that doesn't work. But for as far as your potential online website presence, keep it to 3 pages and no more. So in other words, unless there is a very strong reason to have more of a website, just have a landing page and a funnel. And that's all you're really going to need anyway, because it keeps everything simpler, right? So yeah, we talked about no more than 3 pages, and keep it to one offer. That's what was there. I was getting ahead of myself. Keep it to one offer. This is kind of exciting for me, but it's in its realism. Just because I don't want to see people invest more in fluff that they're not going to get in return, right? So keep it to one offer. Keep it to no more than 3 pages. So even if you have multiple offers, multiple ways of doing things, set up different scenarios, set up different landing page funnels, each for the offer. So then those sections are focused on those offers. On our website, JKO Works, we're working on doing that right now, because our main offer is pretty straightforward. It is what it is. But for our digital marketing friends, as we've been starting to do on Thursdays now, you can come see what that's about. We're doing what we call a 1090 turnaround. Give us your 10 least performing clients. Let us work through you to turn them around into something special. Still basically the same product, still basically the same set of services that we offer, but doing it in a little different way, aimed at a little different people, maybe with less of a marketing focus, because we're talking to marketing agencies and people who do that for a living all day, every day. We can certainly help with that, and we can do our part to make it happen. But a lot of what we focus on is a little more business centric. But that's all going to be represented on our main page. It'll have the general message, and it'll be a special section for, hey, digital marketers, if you want to go try it, if you probably don't need all of this, but let's talk about your 10 worst performing clients, and you go over here to this other page, and that's set up as its own landing page, turnaround.jkoworks.com, and so they can go there directly, or they'll be able to go there from the front page, and we'll make sure that happens. So that's a way of doing multiple offers at one time, but all no more than 3 pages or so, and that's all the customer sees. It's all the customer really needs to see to make that buying decision. And then we have a little bit of information with it. We have videos that go with it, and then you get everything started, and you go from there, right? So you keep your sales process simple as well. Okay. If you're dividing all of this, parsing all of this down into one process per item, then keep your sales process simple to go along with that. Okay. Don't overcomplicate it. You're there to get them through one specific stage of that journey, of that buyer's journey, with these items. If you need more after that, fine. Have as big a website as you want, back behind it. But otherwise, you are, those are, you have these here to for one specific thing. And finally, keep what am I saying? Direct all the prospecting efforts to these. You create these funnels, you create these simple websites, you create this simple unified sales process. And so then steer everything to those. If you have, if you end up running ads or something later, steer all that you steer it to a landing page, and then on through to the final result. Book an appointment, buy something, sign up, whatever. So do the same thing here. Every time you come across, every chance you get, every place you talk, you're steering them to this one place, to turnaround.jkl.works if you're a marketing agency, or as you'll see in a minute, maybe strategy.jkl.works. You send them to a very specific place. You keep your sales process simple, and it just works out. So that way you're not sending a website to do a funnels job. I hope this all has kind of made some sense. Just if you because like I said, I don't really I see this all the time. And I know digital marketers, if you're honest with yourselves, you see this too. With our particular clients, everybody has gotten so hung up on the fact that they need this big, ginormous website but they have no idea what it's going to take to feed it, what it's going to take to have it, be useful and prosper. Otherwise, and be a contributing part of what you do when people don't make it past the first couple of pages. They just don't. So there may be other uses for that once they're on board. But for right now, if you're talking about your sales process and you're talking about how that works and turning a prospect into a customer or a donor or a person who signs up, a participant in live event or blog or newsletter or what have you, to raise awareness, or take action or do something later, then there should be one set simplified process to make that happen there. And there should be, just as minimal a contact doing this so you don't overwhelm them and send them into different directions. One of the other things that this does with this approach is you keep them from getting lost. So like whenever you're brought in, when something's done well, if you go to maybe sign up to go to or you buy tickets to go to a show or something, and you walk in and there's a very set specific way of doing things. If you fly, there's a very set specific way of doing things. It's very focused. Okay. They don't deviate from that. They don't, if you're flying, well, you could take this plane over here, or you take this other one and it's a little slower, but it'll still get you there. Or you can take this giant one that you pile everybody in and it makes a bunch of stops. No, you're signing up for one thing and one thing only. And you come to understand, though the process varies slightly at the TSA spot, doesn't it? But as far as for security reasons, what you put on or take off or don't have or whatever, otherwise it stays very much the same. So you learn what to expect. Well, your sales process is absolutely no different. So don't overcomplicate it with a giant website. Keep it simple. Keep it direct. Get your compelling offer in front of them, what to do, whatever that is you want them to do, and reap the rewards, reap the benefits, steer everything towards it. And you'll find it makes just absolutely amazing sense. And you spend less time, effort, headache, and life just functions better, So we have that. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you want to see an idea of our process, it's a lot less complicated than this. This is an overall of what we do, but we really guide you through one specific process. And so if we can focus on later when we get there, we can focus on foundations or more leads or more transactions or conversions and more profits ultimately, because that's really what we want to get you to. But we want to do this in such a way that small changes have big results. Little hinges swing big doors. And that's what this whole overarching, overcomplicated looking graphic is about. It's about real business life change, step by step, piece by piece, shoulder to shoulder, working with you to make that happen, working with your business or your organization to really make that a reality. And along the way, kind of going through and cleansing some of the stuff that you were doing that just really wasn't productive. And building a huge website for one small product is not productive. So let us help you sort through that. We can sort through it right away by starting with a success blueprint. And before all of that, then what we can offer is a business breakthrough strategy session where we take the time. It's about, 22 minutes or something. We go through and we really work to just to get to know you, to listen to what your project is and what you're doing, and maybe a little of what you've tried before and how you've ended up in the spot you've ended up. And then we get to go through and do some fun magic. We get to say, if we turned on some of these strategies and we put them together with a concept of compounding impacts. It's like compounding interest, only better, because this actually gives you, money and success coming in, just well, like compounding interest does, just more. Then we can get you to that point. But this all starts, that whole journey start. We'll get to all that, but this starts with a business breakthrough strategy session. This starts, with putting all that together in the beginning, so that you know what to expect, so that you know what's coming, so that it's something that's really worth doing. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense for you, as far as why you may or may not need a website. It's just keep it all simple. Try to work to keep it all simple. If you need help keeping that all simple, and a tiny bit of good positive accountability keeping that all simple, then book a strategy session with us. Let's talk about this together. Let's go through what you really have in mind, and I think we can find ways to get far more productivity out of what you really want without all the fluff you don't really need. So that's it for this time. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just comment wherever you're watching this, or you can always go to strategy.jkoworks.com and book specific one-on-one time, and we will make that happen for you. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next time. No, I keep hitting the wrong one, don't I? Okay. Well, the pistons are still working, by the way.